Would everybody stand, salute the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri.
Present.
Mr. Antonopoulos.
Here.
Mr. Donovan.
Here.
Mr. Grillo.
Here.
Ms. Jarvis.
Here.
Ms. Malinek.
Here.
Mr. Musto. Mr. Buno.
Here. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the following means. Annual notice was sent by the Herald and News, the Record, the South Bergenite, the Observer, Town Clerk, and posted in the lobby of the Town Hall and Board Office, setting the forthcoming scheduled work meetings and public meeting of the Board. Okay, I think we have some presentations.
Good evening. So, as is typical, we have many people that deserve recognition tonight, and this is always the best part of these monthly meetings. Before I turn over the mic to Mr. DeCorso, I just want to, inform you that we always do our best to recognize everyone in a timely manner, but unfortunately, we have to sometimes split those up between meetings. And I want you to be aware that in November, we're going to be celebrating some very exciting recognitions of our staff members. So just last Friday, we were able to attend, as we do annually, the Bergen County Utilities Authority grant presentation. And teachers can work across the county to determine ways in which they would use grant money if in fact their idea were selected. And the grants can range up to $1,000. And the only stipulation is that they have to, in some way, promote recycling. And I was just so excited to be the one district in all of Bergen County that had 9 teachers selected, each for $1,000. So please make sure you come back next month so you can see those 9 teachers, and we can recognize them once again. We're going to kick off tonight with some really, really great fine arts presentations. So to do that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Mr. DeCorso, our supervisor of the Fine Arts Department.
Thank you, Mrs. DeMarco. Welcome, everyone. So each and every year, I know I sit in the audience and I watch the wonderful musicals and plays that our students perform and our wonderful faculty prepare and choreograph. And we know that it takes a tremendous amount of effort to put these performances together. And as a community and as a district, each year we see the talent that we have here in Lyndhurst, both with our faculty and with our students. So this year it is with great pride that not only do we know that, but we're being recognized by a national association, and we received several awards this year for our last year's performance of The Drowsy Chaperone. So I would like to start by calling up Mr. Brian Lang, who's going to accept the award for the entire ensemble, who last year the Drowsy Chaperone won Outstanding Ensemble from the National Youth Arts Theater Awards organization. So Mr. Brian Lang, please come up. So with that award, we received this wonderful trophy that we are going to keep at the board office. And we are so proud that we before our state-of-the-art junior high school is even built. We have a beautiful award that's going to honor our theater and our arts program. So, you know, we can't wait to have that trophy case ready for that trophy. And certainly that building is really going to celebrate and encourage the arts. So I know that Abe is going to continue in pride in that building. So thank you, Mr. Lang. So aside from the ensemble as a whole, we have 2 individual awards to hand out. So the first award goes to the Outstanding Supporting Actress for the Drowsy Chaperone. And again, this is a national award, so these students should be really proud of themselves, and this is a tremendous honor. So I'd like to first call up Sarah Samarone. So then our next award goes to the Outstanding Lead Actress in the Drowsy Chaperone, and that's Alexis O'Rourke. So I can't wait to see what our ensemble and our students put together this year. So we're raising the bar for sure. And I know what the show's going to be, but I'm not going to spoil it right now. So we're just going to have to wait and see. And please come out and support the arts, because our students obviously are achieving great this year. We want to continue to support that program. So I thank our faculty and our students an amazing job. I think they deserve another round of applause.
Certificate. I'm just going to ask our Columbus School custodian, Mr. Brian Mortel, to please come on up here while we speak about him. We'll put him on the spot for sure. So this evening, we've asked Mr. Mortel to please join us at this meeting, and we're certainly going to be giving him a certificate of recognition. But just like the previous awards, you know, there's so much significance and so much meaning behind the issuance of just that one paper. But this one is exceptionally significant. We wake up each day, we go to our respective jobs, or we do our respective tasks, and we kind of have our eyes focused on what it is that's expected of us, and what it is that we need to do. And sometimes it's easy to overlook the other stuff. But when we're observant of the other stuff, we realize what a difference one person can make. And I think that's what's really significant here. So as you know, our custodians are very, very busy during lunchtime. You can only imagine what lunchtime is like in a lower elementary school nonetheless. And on one particular Friday, a student who was enjoying a slice of pizza actually started showing signs of being unable to fully swallow or fully get his breath. And in the busyness of the space, Mr. Wortel, who is in fact a first responder himself, immediately spotted those signs, and in an instant was over there helping the student to actually cough up what it was that was causing him to be unable to breathe. And just the quick response, the awareness, the observance, the swift knowledge, and putting that knowledge into application can really, really make such a difference. So, Mr. Wortel, we cannot thank you enough for caring for our students, for not just paying attention to your work, but paying attention to those around you, and for really employing all of your many skills that you bring to this position, and particularly in that moment on that day. Thank you so much. presentation. So if you can just bear with us a moment, I would like to ask the board to please come on down and take some seats so they too can see what you will see. Okay, so when assessment results come out in completion each year, by code, the Board of Education has to be informed as to the district's performance on all of those assessment results. And the information that is received can get nitty-gritty, and then it's always important for us to make sense of that assessment information. Included, however, in that assessment presentation are other factors that we always want to bring to the attention. So instead of having this just be information that we share exclusively with the board, we certainly want to share it with the public because this is information that's very important for you to know. So this evening, by code, we will be talking about the 2016-17 assessment results, but we'll also be speaking about a general district overview of where we've been, where we are, where we're going to. So as someone who is forever an educator and whose background and master's degrees are in language arts, to me it's always about a story. And I think every single one of us has a story to tell. And in my opinion, that really is what life is all about. Every day we're adding another page to our story. And we have to consider our district story. As we do that, we realize it is in progress. And we recognize that we conquer one chapter at a time. As characters in the story, everyone in the community is contributing to the plot, to the events that happen. And no one character can ever control the plot, so we must prepare for and embrace the plot twists. They do come when we least expect them. While all the while maintaining the desired tone of our district, what is our culture? What do we want to convey? Remaining focused on our story's theme, in the end, what do we want to be our legacy? And planning on many sequels to our story, because we certainly don't want it to end. So not to spoil the ending for you, everything's going to be just okay. We conquer one chapter at a time, so we're going to start with QSAC. So QSAC is the Quality Single Accountability Continuum. QSAC is very interesting because there are multiple indicators in a variety of areas: governance, fiscal, instruction and program operations, and every section has multiple indicators upon which are scored. When New Jersey Ask switched over to PARC, they knew that they were not going to have enough information from the PARC results to actually make a good assessment of the district's performance until at least 3 years in. That's since changed because now they're going to 4. So it is important to know that any district who was in a deficit at the 2013-14 test time, or when those results came out, remains there. In Bergen County, we call it QSAC purgatory. So we are in QSAC purgatory simply because in 2013-14, our NJ Ask scores were 2% below the required 80%. We were at 78%. So for that reason, we stay in QSAC purgatory. Now, what's good about QSAC purgatory? Well, it's a lot of work, but you benefit by getting lots of visits from the county every year. So once you don't pass QSAC, you have to create a district improvement plan. I had the benefit of finding that out when I was appointed assistant superintendent because the results came in right after that, which was 2015 for the previous year. We're always a year behind. So I had to work very hard that summer in putting together a district improvement plan, which we did. That gets forwarded to the state. The state looks it over and says, okay, you're good to go, but we're going to hold you responsible. And in and out come the educational specialists of the county. Picture here is Sharon Rosario, educational specialist on the right-hand side, and Nora Peck, who was our interim superintendent, on the left side. They made multiple visits to our district since 2015. And with each visit, they gave us indicators of what they were recognizing. So what they really recognized was that we showed incredible improvements and enhancements. As they visited classrooms, they started seeing there was a shift in progress from teacher-centered instruction to student-centered instruction, which is what the goal is. They also saw that teachers were relinquishing control. not so quick to give the answers or to show kids how to do it, but to let them inquire, let them figure it out, have more of an inquiry-based learning approach. And finally, there was clear evidence of multidisciplinary approaches. So that was really great, but still the visits have to come. I also understood that I needed to educate myself more, so I started wanting to spread my wings. When the state opened up a panel for interested superintendents to serve on a QSAT panel, I went ahead and volunteered for that. Didn't quite know what I was getting myself in for because it required a lot of workshops and a lot of time down in Trenton, but it was really well worth it because we made a lot of contacts and I learned from other districts and how they overcame some of their struggles. So it was Friday of Labor Day weekend of this year, and we were scheduled for a visit from QSAC on September 28th. That's pretty early in the year to get everything ready and set. So it's Friday of Labor Day weekend, the district is closed, and my direct line to my office rings, which was very odd because very few people have that line. And, you know, I was concerned as to who it was, and who is it, but it's our interim county superintendent. Not a good sign on Friday of Labor Day weekend to be getting a call from her. And she prefaced her conversation by indicating that to me. You know, you're probably wondering why I'm calling you. And it was really a great phone call because the reason she was calling me was to let me know that all the work we had done in prep for their visit on September 28th was not going to be necessary because she actually informed the state that based on what she has seen in person and what she continues to see from our district, she is completely confident that we are just making strides and strides of progress in positive directions. So she canceled that visit. She got permission from the Commissioner of Education to do that. I heard from their office. They were very congratulatory to us for our work. And that was really a huge testament to our students, to our teachers, to our parents who are helping us at home, keeping learning as part of their family culture. So now we move to the assessment results and general findings. And again, all comprehensive data will be posted to this Board of Ed meeting. That'll really get into the intricacies so you can see it more closely. But for the purpose of tonight, we'll talk about PARC results. What are we really looking for? Well, basically we range scores of 1 through 5. Now, remember when PARC first came out, it was going to be a growth model. As long as we see your students are growing, you're in good shape. Plot twist, now it's, no, these numbers are failing and these numbers are passing. So that's what's taking effect now. Basically a 1, 2, 3, you're failing. 4s and 5, you're passing. So regardless of the language, that's essentially where we are. Grades 3 through 11 are tested, and unfortunately, we have the opt-out availability to our students. We're very lucky that most of our students do participate in this assessment, but the students who are taking AP tests, so those that are typically higher achievers, often opt out because the tests coincide. So in many situations, our best students are not taking the PARC. In addition, because opt-out is an option, there are multiple pathways to graduation. So if a student does not take the PARC assessment, he or she may sit for the SAT and try to score the required range in either math or LA on the SAT. That minimum score is a 400. So we have many students who don't take the PARC, who choose to take the SAT, who make a minimum score of 400, but certainly 400 isn't the type of score that we would be seeking students to be striving for on an SAT. So that just gives you a little bit of background as to how the PARC works. So when we look at our PARC scores, we want to see a decrease in 1s and 2s. We don't want students there. We want to see most of our 3s moving closer to that 4 range, and we certainly want to see a vast increase in our 4s and 5s. And when we're comparing ourselves across states that take PARC or across the state of New Jersey, we certainly want to be at or above average in 4 and 5, and we want to be below the averages in 1, 2, and 3. ELA, awesome. We have aspiring writers, communicators, artists. I mean, our students are just blowing it out of the ballpark. We are below cross-state and New Jersey average in scores of 1 and 2. That's exactly what we want. We are equal to the cross-state average in the score range of 3, which is good, but we are vastly exceeding the number of students that typically range in 4 and 5. in the state of New Jersey and across all states taking part. We exceed the number of students scoring 5 across the park states. Grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 11 all showed improvements in performance when compared to 2015-16, ranging from 2% to 8%. And every single tested grade had higher writing scores than the average writing score in the state of New Jersey. Great, great work. Awesome. Math park performance. Right now, good. We're below the state average in 1s and 2s. That's definitely a plus. Right now, in the score range of 1. We are equal to the cross-state average in the score range of 2, but we do have more students scoring 2 than is typical in the state of New Jersey. So that's an area of concern for us. We also exceed the number of students in New Jersey and cross states in the score range of 3. What is interesting, though, is when we compare our own data in the 3 score to our 2015-16 data in the score of 3, they're moving. So we're definitely seeing students moving across the continuum, but it's definitely not at the rate that we would like them to be. Unfortunately, we exceed the average number of students scoring 4 across park states, or I should say we fortunately do, but we do have less students scoring 4 when compared to other New Jersey districts. So compared to other states, we're doing really well. We have more students getting a 4, but when we look at our students compared to other New Jersey districts, we have less students getting 4 than they do. And we do have fewer students earning scores of 5 when compared across state as well as all states taking part. So those are areas of improvement we definitely want to work on. Grades 6, 7, and 8 all show improvement from one year to the next, ranging from 2% to 8% increases. And grades 3, 4, 9, 10, and 11 all show decreases in their performance. So those are areas we really want to focus on and try to find out why. New Jersey Ask Science and the biology test. Now, 2 of these are changing in 2017-18. The biology test, which has always been an end-of-course exam, is now going to be comprehensive science, a test that's going to check how much science a student should know by grade 11. So that's going to be one major change. Another major change is that the grade 4 NJS is now going to be given in grade 5. So unfortunately for those students who took it last year, they're going to be sitting for NJS again this year. But no worries, because they are rocking it. Grade 4, look at these numbers. 91% of district students scored in the proficient and advanced proficient range. Fantastic work. This far exceeds the state average of 85.5%. So grade 4, their interest is there. We have to keep fostering that interest in science. They're doing great. Grade 8 also did great work. They exceeded the state average of 73.2% by having 74% of students range in the proficient or advanced proficient range. Biology, this is always our issue. The state average is 56.7%. Not too impressive, but even less impressive is our performance, only 36%. You may ask yourself why. Unfortunately, it is very, very difficult for these students in grade 11 to take that biology end-of-course test seriously as they should be. Because truthfully, they unfortunately know it doesn't show up anywhere, it doesn't count, it's not used for anything. And by grade 11, if it's not being used for something, they struggle to see the significance of it. So I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen when that moves from a bio end-of-course test to that cumulative test at grade 11. I think we're going to see some shifts there. So our analytical takeaways, math instruction and practice must reflect how Park is presenting it. We did a quick little study. How do students do when the problems are given to them traditionally? And how do they do when they're giving them using the Park language? Clearly with the traditional approach, they get it, they know what to do, they know what formula to apply, they're solving the problem. The minute it moves into that Park language, where now they have to explain why they used a certain mathematical process or why they applied a skill, that's where they're getting stuck. So we want to start talking more math in the classroom. We want to start talking more math language at home. We don't want to just focus on the how did you do that, but we want to start saying, well, why did you do that? Why did you decide to multiply multiply there? Why not divide? Why did you add before you subtracted? Whatever it might be. So that's really going to be a big piece for us. We also want to recognize the less is more approach. So once our students achieve a standard, we want to get ready to move on so we can use that time in other ways. Maybe we don't have to do 50 of the same types of problems. Maybe once they accomplish 25, we say, you got this, let's move on to something else. So we definitely want to look at some of that. And we also want to make sure that we're doing enough reteaching. So we want to make sure that those students that are in the middle, that might not be getting it as much as the peers that are a bit above them, but showing more competency than the peers that are below them, aren't setting the bar for everyone moving on. So we really have to make sure we have good individualized instruction going on. ELA, we clearly have students on the horizon for doing great things with their skills in reading and writing. So now it's time to raise the bar for success, right? We know what they can do, now we've got to get them to sweat a little bit more. Now we really want to strive to make sure those 1s and 2s move into that 3 category, and all of those 3s shift over to the 4 and 5. And that's the other interesting piece. Some of them are only 1, 2, and 3 points away from the 4, and 1 or 2, 3 points away from the 5. So just with a little bit more, sweat and perseverance, they're really going to make it over that hump into that next score. We have to get them to feel that in the classroom. We've got to push them. We've got to get some more grit going with the students. We'll certainly continue an interdisciplinary approach to science instruction. We know that that is so important. It has to be embedded there across all content areas. And, look at those grade 4 scores. That's showing their natural and organic interest in science and inquiry and wanting to solve things. They're seeing it as so much fun. How do we get that to continue as they get older? How do we keep the interest of the students in science so we can get to the higher ones and really excel there? For peak PARC performance, we know that it must be included in all content areas. The greatest fallacy is to think that your ELA and math teachers are responsible for PARC scores. That is untrue. Social studies, reading skills, writing skills, analytical skills are going to contribute to PARC scores in the same way in the ELA section, in the same way that their science work is going to contribute to their math performance. We also have to make sure that students are familiar with these styles of questions, so they're not learning it one way in the classroom and then coming to a test where it's looking, unfamiliar to them or foreign. And we want them to be organic, consistent, and routine across the curriculum. This is another really big piece that really strikes a chord with me. We need to make sure that our culture continues to recognize that every single student in a classroom is that teacher's student. Whether that student sits in that classroom all day long, for just a period, or maybe is there once in a while. So those students who have ESL instruction don't only learn English as a second language. They need to learn every other content area as well. The student who is going to another classroom for resource instruction, or who is getting some remedial support, they are not the students of the resource or remedial teachers. They are just as much the student of that general ed teacher while they're in that classroom. So this is something we really have to start taking ownership of and really work as a team to figure out what works best for certain types of students or each individual students or class of students, and make sure we keep talking about those successful strategies and sharing them with one another. Prior to getting these PARC results, last year, even though you're supposed to come into a new position and sit back and kind of just observe and watch and wait and not take any action, some things were pretty evident. And being part of this district for so long, I felt very honored to be able to go ahead and participate in some conversations a little sooner than most new superintendents would be able to. We knew we needed someone to watch over our curriculum and instruction. I needed someone doing that much more than I needed an assistant for myself. So that's when we switched from assistant superintendent to a director of those areas. We also realized that the type of instruction at the elementary levels is very different than that at the upper grade levels. The content's very different, the styles, the strategies. So we said instead of having one supervisor working with a pre-K teacher, then a 10th grade teacher, then a 12th grade teacher, then back to a 4th grade teacher, let's kind of consolidate. Let's let people specialize more. So that's what we did with our supervisory team. We also expanded our technology resources, which lets more students use technology more frequently. We also removed the AV days in upper elementary, so there was more accessibility to daily instruction of all subject matter instead of having delays. And certainly we created the ELL training for all teachers to make sure that we were all helping those students that had a barrier with the language. On the horizon, facilities that are certainly conducive to modern instructional practice. Applied learning environments, collaborative environments, and project-based exploration. That's what's on our horizon. Enhanced learning environments to match content area, and even further enhancing services for students. We talked about the plot twists. Well, we encountered one of those, and if you were with us in August, I know a lot of us were on vacation at that time and drove back up for the meeting. We had a great presentation of the forthcoming junior high school because we had to go ahead and redo the joint agreement due to a few minor barriers that we encountered. But we accomplished that, and really the only result from that, because we've been working so hard on it, was maybe a couple weeks delay when we're going to be going out to bid. So really all things said and done, that plot twist is a minor one, but we recognize that when we encounter a problem, we trust the process. We go along with it, we do what we have to do, we work as a team, as administrators, teachers, Board of Education members, and we resolve the issues. Every single character contributes to our story, and I can't overestimate the impact of every teacher, every counselor, every custodian, every secretary, every nurse, every administrator has upon the success of our district. We can't do it without them. We expanded our AP programming last year by over 33%. We couldn't have done that if teachers weren't willing this summer to go and get trained by College Board to be able to teach AP classes. They were interested, we embraced it, they were fantastic, and they're running these programs successfully. We're offering more opportunities. The same thing with our special ed. We knew we had a gap in the students who were leaving one early learning environment and getting ready for the next one we offered. Some just weren't ready for that environment, but yet they needed to move on. So we went ahead and we added an additional type of kindergarten classroom for students with special needs that benefit from that before moving into that self-contained blended environment. We also have the pre-K3 and pre-K4 opportunities now, and why do that? Well, we want to get students in with us as soon as possible. We want to start them in educational environments that we can then build upon and get that foundation set for them. So that was another really big accomplishment. And then, personally, I understand that my work here has to expand way out of the district. So I felt very fortunate last year to give a lot of time to this. Fortunately, my family was really helpful with me doing that. So a lot of nights and weekends were spent exploring other ways that I could have our district kind of networking and blending with other districts as well. So currently, I was asked to serve on the Bergen County Association of School Administrators Executive Board as a legislative liaison. So I have the opportunity to go down to Trenton frequently, hear what's going on in legislation, and take part in being the change we want to see. Some of the changes that we're working on is to make sure that when we're looking at HIV, we're doing so in educational environments and not with a culture of criminality. Making sure that we're teaching students good character and we're handling things fairly and justly, recognizing we're dealing with children. Also looking at the certification of teachers and making sure that it's not too strenuous or not too difficult to fill certain positions. We've made STEM and STEAM teachers, and right now the qualifications really don't match what STEM and STEAM teachers do. So the hope is that we can get some more people who may be looking for second careers, who are coming out of science labs or coming out of fields that would really, really benefit students to have the opportunity without paying for multiple years of college to go different routes and be able to teach our students successfully. In addition, we are also making sure that every district is being judged fairly when it comes to school construction funding and school funding, because that's another really big area that small districts like us are up against. We have our great ideas, we have the things that we want to accomplish, and sometimes that's really, really hard to come by simply because of the fiscal constraints. So we're trying to work with some freeholders and other legislators to get support for more school funding for districts like ours. It's really important whenever we're looking at assessment to keep in mind that numbers are great and quantifying success is important. But as Albert Einstein said, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. And our district realized that the last 2 weeks. We had suffered the loss of an incredible educator, someone who I had the pleasure of teaching with, co-teaching with myself. We went to peer group together and spent a couple retreat weekends on the floor of the emergency squad building when that's where we took the students for the peer group retreat. And certainly Mr. Fuchetto was a gifted, talented, just super intelligent teacher who dedicated his entire life to education. Friday night at his service, that was evident because as people looked around the room, that was just covered with awards and honors and medals and ribbons. To just look at that after 41 years, I wanted to just yell at him, "You classic overachiever, you are always an overachiever." And that's what he did. He got a lifetime of passion and of giving into 41 really short years. And it's just so important to be reminded that, you know, when his students, many of whom are now adults, and they were with him 2004, 2005, when they were coming to that service to memorialize him, it wasn't that, you know, Mr. Fuchetto helped me get a 5 on my AP test, or Mr. Fuchetto helped me really get into a certain college by writing a recommendation letter. It was, you know, he helped me discover what I really love to do. I'm in a job now that I absolutely love because that's what he demonstrated in his work. So that's really the whole other factor of what we have to remember here. And that's where we get to the tone of our story, right? Because the tone of our district is evident. It's compassion and it's rigor in student-centered instructional environments by a staff that is always cheering our students on, always, at each and every step of their educational journey. And for those of you with adult children, you know it goes super fast, way too fast. If only I could turn back the hands of time. And then we have those smiles of success, and you just walk into a classroom, and you just see it, you know it's happening, the learning is there. Our 2020 vision of the Lyndhurst Public Schools is in full motion. So you haven't seen a lot of that in the forefront, but wow, is it going full speed ahead behind the scenes. We are at a place whereby we are looking to go out to bid on our construction work in mid-January, so right after the holiday season passes us. We're forging ahead with that. We hope to be breaking ground and for you to see some of those construction trucks at Columbus and Roosevelt School in the early spring. And from that point on, we are looking at, you know, essentially 2 years of getting a design unlike this district has ever seen before. We will continue to share information with you as soon as we get it into user-friendly versions. So as many of you may know, if you've ever had work done on your house or you're in architecture, the papers that I get are tabletop size. They take up lots and lots of space. But now we're starting to get user-friendly versions, and we'll continue to post them. So the most recent ones are available on our website, and we encourage you to continue to come to our meetings, come to township meetings to stay apprised and abreast of all that's happening there. We're all part of the ongoing story. And as I told my staff at the start of the year, just make it happen and shock everyone. That's what we're going to do. So I thank you so much for your time tonight and for letting me talk to you about the Lyndhurst Public Schools.
Langsdale. Very nice presentation, Sean. But I have a few questions and maybe I'll start on that first. Sorry, my voice is not up to par. Exactly on SAT scores, how many children are above the state average?
I couldn't tell you specifically the number of students above the state average. I don't have access to those scores right now. I can tell you that our average roughly runs about 45 points short in one area and I think 25 in the other. But as far as specific students, I really
The number of students, I don't want to say actual students, but number
yeah,
percentage.
I wish I had that data. You know, the SATs, the ACTs, AP results, those are not standard assessments, so that's not something that's part of the presentation. But certainly, I can get that for you, and I'd be happy to share it.
Okay,
It's a great
just
conversation. Yeah, absolutely, it's a great conversation.
If I'm not mistaken, the new science room was put on in 2001. Anybody can verify that? I can't remember the year.
Would we in high school?
Yeah, the new high school science wing. I think it was 2001. 2001. Okay, we put on the new science wing, but yet when you talked about the part of the science, you said you were doing biology, but yet we have a new science wing put on. Why are the scores so low then in biology?
So again, all I can say about biology is, you know, it's twofold. So we look at the state average and we see that's extremely low, right? So that's in the mid-50s. And then we look at ours is way lower than that. The only thing that I can say with regard to biology is simply that the test has never mattered. It has not, and that's one of the reasons for changing it. Districts across the state struggle because it's an end-of-course exam, and it means nothing to the students, so they're getting it usually right after Memorial Day weekend. And unfortunately, as much as we try to impress upon them the importance of always wanting to do your best in anything that has your name, they just don't take it seriously because the first year it was done as a field test, and then it was going to count, and then it was never going to field test it again. And here we are, it's never counted, it's going into history and being replaced with a comprehensive test.
We can't hear you.
All right, also, the school district also based on a grade average. We went from a C to a D. So where is the grade average of our school district according to the state?
Well, the state's not giving us a grade. Various sites, various groups, various organizations rate districts in different ways. All I can tell you is for us to be in a place whereby we've been QSACs, which is the state measure of success for a district, and to have had that done every 6 months since September of 2015, to be now at September of 2017 and having the person at the state level who's in charge of all QSAC work or QSAC certification being done at the county level, for her to waive our visit is definitely a sign that the state feels very confident in the direction that we're going.
What was our grade then for last year? It must have been your grade.
We don't get grades. All I can tell you is we get percentages. And right now our percentages are 100% in all areas, except in the area of the math and ELA achievement, which stays in the 2013-14 range, which again I believe is in the 78th percentile. We need an 80. But that will not change until they start looking at different assessment results.
Okay, it's a year ago since we did the referendum and it was passed with the upgrade of all the schools. Now, wasn't all the paperwork all together and all that you could have already put the bids out? You're already a year past everything.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? Everybody, November 8th, I think last year, they expected shovels in the ground, right? It takes a long time to even get access to that money. So I don't know the ins and outs of it. Maybe, our attorney can tell you more about that. But it takes a long time for the money to even be accessible. Plus, once you get the go-ahead, you have tons of testing, and that was all done last year. Soil tests, land tests, water tests, air tests. There's so much of that prelude that needs to be
Talking about the
done.
19 million, not
No, this is what I'm speaking about. So your referendum are your plans, that if it gets passed, this is what you can get going on. But all of those other aspects need to happen before you can in fact do any construction. So we really needed to get, to get all that in place and to have access to the money to be able to pay people to do that. Nick, what is the time?
Typically, you have that kind of time frame where you have a number of months, even a year, sometimes a year and a half, before you really get the money. Because a lot of times what you have is, you need to get this testing done, you need the money before the referendum. So now that you have the money that's going to come in, you can start doing the testing and planning for your project. And it looks like you guys are right on track. We're going to go about the project.
Yeah, but with the high school now, the junior high, which is a redevelopment from the town, already has a $53 million in TAP.
That's a township side, that has nothing to do with us. I'm grateful that they're involving us in all of the conversations when it comes to the educational programming, because it's important that we have continuity, but with regard to anything else, I would have to defer you to the township.
Okay. Number 10, finance facilities. Number 10, it says about maintenance activities of your 3-year maintenance program for public school facilities. So Joe, I guess what that is? Number 10, and you're picking number the pages, so
Page 4, on the top,
is it like
on the top.
in the staple part? Okay.
No, it's not, it's the other side.
No,
It's
it's 4 over here.
ours is it.
Can you remind me on what that's all about, the comprehensive maintenance plan? for
Yes.
the school?
The maintenance plan is a 3-year projection of the cost to maintain the current facilities that we have and to keep things moving forward. So that plan is comprised of, from the architectural side, what might need to be done to improve facilities moving forward and what we need to maintain what we have so nothing deteriorates as we move forward. So that plan is required by the state, goes to the county for approval, and then we move on from that point. But it basically just gives a projection of the next 3 years out, what we do internally to maintain our facilities that we currently have.
And you have that already, copies available, you should be attaching them to your agenda.
I give you copies, no problem.
Okay, let's think about that. All right, on page 5, number 11. These are very, goals for Shauna. What were the school board's goals and objectives for the district? Goals and objectives for the district. What was the school board giving to the superintendent that she's evaluated on? Could you just bring me up to date on that, please? Because the merit is totally different.
It is.
than
Thank you for
goals and
understanding that. Yeah, absolutely. So the merit things are all the side things, right? So certainly a vast amount of my performance has to do with that's curriculum related and student achievement. Also the advances in special services, because that's very important to this board as well. They're seeking to make sure that as many students in district can remain in district and we continue to service them. So some areas that I also am evaluating on are communication, communication to the community, fiscal involvement, awareness, and those were two, that area in specific, we spoke about at length last year because that was an area that I think I could definitely improve upon. So we've used a lot of time exploring the connectivity between the superintendent and the business office, and that's why I'm really grateful to be working with Mr. Bisick now, because him having a background in education really allows us to, forge those two areas together. And I think ultimately a budget can't just be about numbers. It has to be something that anyone can look at and without any additional information, understand what a district's all about, what a district values, what a district focuses on, and what a district deems very significant and important. So for me, that was another area that was a specific goal. And then certainly the referendum and staying on track and continuing with that. That again is another very, very important area that I'm evaluated and monitored frequently on. Yeah.
Okay, page 23. Ethical leadership consultants canceling the contract to provide consulting services effective October 31st. Please explain that.
Ethical leadership consultants, I'm sorry, I was just getting to it, was the name of the group that the previous interim assistant superintendent, Dr. James Carino, was involved with. And originally, it was planned that he would stay on as a consultant this year, and it was decided that that agreement would be dissolved.
Okay, so you got the doctrine of necessity,
Mhm.
and you also know about ethics laws, and you know about conflict of interest laws, you know about open laws, you know about the Public Meeting Act laws, correct? You all know that, right? Because even if you don't have a written down policy, you know that when you're sworn in under 18A, that's what the rules are. I also noticed that new business, Christopher Musto, has resigned from being board trustee. Now, you're going to replace him, because you only have so many days that you have to do that.
So the interesting thing is that notification, we were on the phone with the attorney's office today at 5:15. That notification came to us at 4:50 today. That's when receipt of that letter came in. So we wanted to make sure that we, on behalf of Mr. Musto, got the resignation in, and we will definitely be conferring with the attorneys as to our next steps.
Well, there is laws by the steps that you have to abide by.
Correct. We advise them.
Okay. Also, I noticed that you have personnel committee. Just want to know if anybody relates to anybody that's being hired. Okay, I'll be back for non-agenda.
Finance, Facilities, and District Planning, Mr. Grillo.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Finance, Facility, and District Planning Committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I move that 1 through 12 be adopted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcieri.
Four.
Mr. Antonopoulos. 4. Mr. Donovan.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
Four.
Ms. Malinick.
Four.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Education and Curriculum, Sue.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Education and Curriculum Committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that 1 to 13 be accepted.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcieri.
4.
Mr. Antonopoulos. 4. Mr. Donovan. 4. Mr. Grillo. 4. Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinick.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Policy, Rules, and Regulations, Jim.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Policies, Rules, and Regulations Committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, make a motion to accept numbers 1 through 6.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcieri.
4.
Mr. Antonopoulos. 4. Mr. Donovan.
4.
Mr. Grillo. 4. Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinick.
4.
Mr. Bruno.
4. Any new business? 2. Sure, you want to do it, or should we do it? Okay.
Any board member who,
Yeah.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of new business may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Motion made for items number 1 and 2 to be included.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Alcieri.
4.
Mr. Evgopoulos. 4. Mr. Donovan.
Question, where's number 2 on the sheet?
It's a
Oh,
separate.
yeah, separate. Resignation.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinick.
4.
Mr. Vuno. 4.
Personnel. Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of personnel may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that numbers 1 to 24 be accepted.
Second.
Roll call. Ms. Alcieri.
4.
Mr. Evgopoulos. 4. Mr. Donovan. 4. Mr. Grillo. 4. Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Ms. Malinick.
4.
Mr. Vuno.
4. Non-agenda items. Oh, yes. We have a letter.
So we made mention about Mr. Musso's resignation, and I thought it only right that I share with you the letter that he submitted to me this afternoon. After careful consideration, it is with great regret and sadness that I must inform you that I'm resigning from the position of Board of Education trustee. This past summer, I decided not to seek another term in the November election. The reason for this was mainly due to my increased responsibilities at work and potential for relocation. I've missed meetings in the past few months as a direct result of work-related travel and a difficult work schedule. In addition to missing board meetings and not being able to give my 100% to the district and community, my family has suffered as well. My children had a multitude of events that I've missed and moments that I can never replace. I do hope that you accept my apologies as I had not anticipated this increased workload when I began this endeavor. As I look back on my nearly 6.5 years on the Board of Education, I do so fondly. I believe as a collective team, we have accomplished great things and set a plan in motion that will not only improve our community, but serve the children of Lyndhurst for decades to come. I've been fortunate to work alongside some great administrators, teachers, and facilities personnel to make improvements wherever possible and to always care for our children. From safety enhancements to new computers, to a new memorial campus, and of course, to peanut allergy reform, I was honored that the people trusted in me to serve the children and the citizens of Lyndhurst. I do wish you the best as you continue to make positive changes and lead our school district during this exciting time. Thank you, Christopher R. Mustow.
Give a round of applause.
I think we have the aides, lunch aides. Come on up.
Judy Cardell.
Sure, why not? Someone speaking? Or shall I speak? First, I want to say, I want all of you to know, and everyone that's not here to know, how much we appreciate what you people do. During the lunch hour, it's just a madhouse. And trying to keep the children under control and then send them back to class in a good frame of mind is unbelievably important, and really not too many people understand what you go through during a lunch hour. And it is the board's pleasure to let you know that there is a lot of stuff being considered, and as soon as this man right here, our new business administrator, works out the numbers, there are going to be things set in place I think that you're really going to appreciate, and if not, you let us know and we'll work to do what we can. But I feel positive that you're going to be very happy what's coming down the road. Okay, so just bear with us until we find everything that's going on with Scott, and we will definitely be back to you. And if not, make sure you send a representative here to keep us in line until we keep our promise to you. Okay? We thank you again. Does anyone like to say anything?
I'd like to thank you for all of us because we've never got recognized as long as I've been here. In 10 years, this is the first time that we considered ourselves a little bit of a staff. Because we were told many years ago, we're not staff.
Oh, yes, you are.
Well, you are to this board, and we thank you very, very much.
And this is the first time that we've actually heard that. Thank you.
You are quite welcome.
Thank you for coming.
15 years. Anything else? Elaine, non-agenda?
Exactly who's your custodian of records in a school board? You usually have a assigned person who's custodian of your records if somebody requests these things to over.
A school business administrator.
So it's Mr. Scott, I'm Mrs. Scott, my name is Lynn Scott, and we can meet each other. And we go over the fact that I offered a lot of stuff back on October 3rd, and I guess for just copies, and I was told that I had to pay $1,994.20 to get approximately 21 information, which was only for copies. Is this your practice for communication for the public? Because you know the rules are just copies is only 7 cents. So why would it cost $30.68 to somebody to fill this when there's a custodian person that overlooks this and the town doesn't need to charge?
It's not just copies, it's gathering all the information on your entire list of requirements that you had, roughly 21 different items. That takes time out of my full-time staff to gather, put together, scan,
And
and
that's
get
what
sent
this
to you.
7 cents is for a copy. So you will
That's
know-
not how it works, no, it's not. We have to gather the information, based on that, I'm entitled to charge the lowest hourly rate for my staff to gather the information.
$30.68 is your lowest hourly rate.
That's correct. Yep.
Well, I just want to put it on record that I brought it to your attention, because usually when we proceed forward, they always ask us to make sure it's brought to your attention to let you know that this was above and beyond what should have been done.
Have a motion to adjourn? Second? Oh, this now. Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.